Hello.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Bill. I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good. I'm really excited to be talking with you.
I love your shirt, by the way. I saw your post earlier, and I was like, wow, that's super cool. It actually looks like Tyler's suit with the texture and everything. It's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I asked. This is brand new because I really needed a Superman shirt and I did not have one. So,
That's awesome.
well, I'm very excited to be talking with you today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're working on season three, and I'm sure it's gonna be awesome when it comes out.
Oh, it's gonna be a big one. And yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
No problem. So how did you get involved with Superman and Lois?
Well, geez, I mean, it's kind of a long story. It started with an audition, like a lot of things do. And I was working on another project. I was actually in Toronto, working on a project, and had to go back and forth to LA a little bit. And then I went and auditioned for this, and thought I did pretty good. But sometimes you think you do good, and you don't hear anything, and it's part of the job. You go do your job, and you move on. And if you hear something, you hear something. So that's kind of what I did. Did my thing, and left LA to go back to Toronto, and then got a call from my team, and they're like, "Hey, we need you back in LA." And I'm like, "Okay." And they said, "We need you back here tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I guess I'm hopping on a plane, and I did that. I flew back, and I had very little time to like prep again for the next step, which usually you have like an audition and a callback, and sometimes callback, and then in this case it was like audition and then went to test directly for the studio and the network. And you'll have people like David Rappaport, a casting director who's awesome, by the way. He likes me. That's like the first step, right? Okay, cool, we made it past there. And then Todd and the producers have to sign off of me, and then you got to go the network, and there's so many people involved in making these decisions. And it's a lot of pressure making sure you leave an impression on everybody. But that's kind of what we do, right? We go in there and show them what we have inside, what we envision this character to be. And in this case, it worked in my favor, and Kyle was born.
And when you auditioned for your role, what was it about your take on Kyle that made everyone like you so much?
I think for me personally, I grew up in Texas, and there's a lot of people that relate to Kyle, and I grew up around a lot of Kyles, so to speak. And I mean that by saying, kind of grew up in a small town, never really left, and has different sets of values and priorities, not necessarily better or worse than anybody else's. They just, if you grow up in a small town, things are a little different than in you if you grow up in New York City or in LA or something like that. And so I grew up around that kind of small town mentality. My dad was from a very small town, et cetera. And so I had a good grasp on what it would be like to be this guy from Smallville. Smallville, Kansas is not a very big place. It's called Smallville, right? And so I went into that and kind of just had this idea of, it was one of those moments where when I first read the script, I'm like, oh, I got this. I know this guy. Like, this is it. And sometimes you read scripts, and as actors, we do a lot of character research. We do a lot of searching inside to kind of see what it is that makes these characters tick and kind of bring them to life. And then there's moments where it just kind of happens, and it's like the magic, so to speak. And looking back on it now, I've talked to Todd and Brent and everybody, and Todd's like, dude, we knew you were our Kyle the moment you walked in the room. He goes, we had to go through all the steps and blah blah blah. He goes, but we knew you were Kyle right off the bat. So it's always nice to hear that coming from the other side.
That is so cool. I never would have imagined them saying that you're Kyle right on the spot. I never would have
It's kind of
imagined
cool,
that.
right?
I thought it would take a couple bit of a process, but nope, you got it right away.
I guess so. Yeah.
How did you prepare to play the character on the show?
Again, a lot of it goes back to just kind of my roots and growing up around small towns and stuff, and pulling from that. And with any project, a show, a film, things like that, it's a collaborative effort, right? Like, I've got an idea of what I think the character is going to be like, and then the writers write with a certain voice, so to speak, of how they envision the character. And then the producers have their ideas, and whoever's directing in this case, the each episode, they've got their ideas of what these scenes are going to play out like and stuff. And so the great thing is everybody involved is super talented on this show. It's a dream group of people to work with, and B, super collaborative. Everybody is open to hearing my thoughts, and vice versa. I'm open to listening to our writers, and sometimes they'll write things, and we'll read it, and maybe we'll be like, I don't know, this is, I'm trying to understand what this is, and they'll explain it like, oh, that's brilliant, I get it now. We don't always get everything right off the bat, and that's what I love about making television and film is just the collaborative effort, and everybody involved is what brings it all to life. We get the credit as actors because that's who y'all see on the screen, but there's so many other people involved in making this a reality.
But of course, I mean, there's so many wonderful cast members. You got to also give credit to the crew as well. They're also
100%.
stars of the show.
Oh yeah, the crew never really gets the credit they deserve publicly, but I gotta tell you, like, their job is to literally make the show look as good as possible, make us look as good as possible, and make the world, this make believe world that we get to play in as actors, as real as it can be. And I mean, it's just, I wish you guys could, everybody could come get a little tour and meet our crew and everything, and you would just see the level of talent and dedication that goes into making the show. It's unbelievable.
And that's why I love watching behind the scenes features from movies and TV shows. You get to see all that work that the crew do for animation or the art department, costumes. It just blows my
Yep.
mind away that there's a whole nother world behind it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't take it for granted, but I do, it's my day-to-day life, right? So I'll get on set sometimes, and I'm going to work. And so I don't always soak everything in as much as I probably should. But I do have these moments where when we came back to start filming season 3, and we'd been off for a few months, and I walk back on the stages, and I'm looking at our set builders building some of the new set pieces for this season, and saying hi to everybody and stuff, and it's just, I have these little like pinch me moments still where I just have to like just smile because I get to live and work in this world, and it's something else, man. I wish everybody could experience it.
And of course, it's a superhero world. I mean, you got to experience the DC universe on TV. Um,
Yep.
so I have to ask, were you a DC fan before you got the part?
Oh yeah. I mean, as far back as I can remember, even as a kid, like I had like the Superman T-shirt and costume, and the cape and stuff, and the little toys that I would fly around. My son has one of those now, a little Superman. He just like fly it around like that, and I'm pretty sure I had a lunchbox back when those were a thing because I'm so old. But we had these like little metal lunch boxes, and I had
Oh
one
yeah.
that had a Superman logo on it, and and then Batman is another one of my favorite characters in the DC world. He always has like the coolest cars, and I'm a big car guy. So, yeah, it's any superhero world is awesome, but DC has had some really great characters throughout, for years and years, and to be involved in something that is part of their world is just, it's super cool.
And it's rare to see such an incredibly, really successful superhero show. And now we got a whole bunch of them out there. Um, it must be overwhelming to be part of it.
It is at times, I gotta tell you, but in the best way possible. It's to be involved in something as well known as Superman and Lois. These two iconic characters that have been in the comic books forever. It's not just something that people in the United States know about. No, I mean, I'm talking the entire world knows who Superman is, and they subsequently they watch the show. I get messages from people all over the world all the time, and that's the part of it that is I don't want to say overwhelming, but a little daunting at times, right? Because you've got so many people that love the show, and it's so important to so many people. You don't want to let them down, So whatever we're doing as actors, and as everybody involved in the show, is trying to do right by the fans, and make sure you guys are enjoying what we're doing, because we don't want to let you down. So in that regard, it is a little daunting at times.
But no, you're doing a really great job. And so far, I'm happy with what the show's been doing.
Yay!
I'm very happy. It's very rare to see a really good storyline when it comes to certain superhero characters. Like I grew up with Superman myself. I started with the brand new Ralph movie, so that was my
Hmm.
introduction at the time because I was like, I don't know, 6 years old. And
You're a lot younger than me, Bill.
well, oh man, over time, I guess it wasn't until the Man of Steel movie came out that I started to really become a bigger Superman fan by watching Smallville and the Dean Cain show and all the other movies. And it's
Hmm.
just over time I've become really a big fan of this character because he's like one of the most positive characters in the DC universe.
Yeah, he is. That's what makes Superman so unique in the world of superheroes. Is yes, he's got powers. Yes, he's strong as can be, and he can fly, and he can do all of these really cool things. But at his core, Superman is just a good being. You know, whether you want to call him Kryptonian, human, part of both. He just he's a good natured being, and that is always kind of his north star, is to help the entire world, to do right by people, and to not discriminate, not to you'll see him saving people all over the world, and flying from this country to that country, and then in our case coming back and being a great father and a great husband. And so you get a little bit of the superhero and the human elements of it in our world in Superman and Lois. And it's just so great. Tyler does an amazing job juggling both of those characters, and
And that's why he's my favorite
it's
Superman.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
I hope I get
he
to tone
is.
down sometime because that's gonna be a good one if I do.
Oh, I'm sure you will. And he's also very nice in real life. So that's it's I he does great with the character. I don't want to say it's like not a stretch, but in a sense he's just a really good human being in real life. So it's nice that he's playing such an iconic character that is also a good-natured human being, or a good-natured being, as it were.
And when it comes to working with the cast, what is it like working with them on the set?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, again, this is one of those situations where, I've been doing this for my whole life, really. I did theater as young as 7, and kind of did that throughout, middle school and high school and stuff. And then I've been in television and film for almost 20 years now. So I've had the chance to work with a lot of different projects and a lot of different people, and I've been lucky. I've not had any really bad experiences. There's some folks out there that have, they have some interesting people that they worked with and some interesting projects and whatnot. But for me, I think part of it is also I like to look at the world in a glass half full mentality. I'm a pretty positive person, and there's always going to be some bad things in life and some things that you don't want to deal with. But if you go into any situation and you look at it in a good light, and you take it with a smile on your face, and you put the effort into it, you can make a good situation out of anything. In this case, you don't even have to try that hard because the cast is just amazing. We all got kind of thrown into this in the middle of a pandemic, right? Like, we started filming this show in 2020. There was delay after delay. We were supposed to start at the beginning of 2020, didn't start filming until I think October or November of 2020. I don't remember how long of a delay it was. Yeah. But we all kind of got thrown into this. We hadn't A couple of people had known each other in the from past, either running into each other or worked in the past, but for the most part we all were kind of getting to know each other. And so now we're stuck up here in another country and in the bubble, and we're doing our job, but we all really just genuinely liked each other. And so I think that's also what makes our show special, and the chemistry on camera comes from a real life chemistry that we all have as cast members. So it's truly a blessing to get to work with everybody, on this show.
And other than the challenges of the starting this with the pandemic, what other challenges do you go through while working on the set?
It varies day to day. I mean, part of it is the weather up here in Vancouver. It can be very rainy. Oh, I love Barks root beer, by the way. That used
Oh,
to be my favorite root beer when I was a kid.
it's my favorite
They should
too.
sponsor you. That was a great product placement shot. But no, up here in Vancouver, the weather does play into things a lot. It rains a lot over the winter time. It can be cold and windy, especially out where we film at the Kent farmhouse. All the inside stuff of that is shot on a stage. Spoiler alert. But the actual
Obviously, it
outside,
was.
right? The exterior of the Kent farmhouse is actually out on a farm. Here in an area south of Vancouver, and it's beautiful. But man, I tell you, it is so windy and so cold all the time out there, and we have like. There's airplanes flying overhead, so we got to hold for sound department guys because they don't. It's not good to have airplanes flying over our dialogue. And then there's like geese that come out of nowhere and just make a whole bunch of noise and crow. There's always something at the camp farmhouse. It's kind of like the running joke. But there's that. There's the long days. Some days, you'll be out there. I think my first day back for season 3 was a 15, 16-hour day. So you get there and you're dealing with that. And the other part of it is, when you're shooting scenes in a show, you don't always shoot in sequence, right? You shoot out of order. And so if you go in and, like, let's say, for example, your first shot of the day is a very somber, moment or whatever. And then at the end of a 16-hour day, you're shooting a scene that's really upbeat and everything like that. It's kind of tricky to kind of maintain your energy and your emotions and everything when you're bouncing around like that. So those are some of the challenges, but at the end of the day, it's part of the job, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. And I still look at it as kind of fun.
And you definitely caught me by surprise because I totally thought that the farm, the actual house, was on a stage and not an actual location. I
Yep.
totally thought I was like built behind the scenes for that reason.
No, it's really cool. The interior shots are on the stage, so you have like the inside of the farmhouse on the stage, but then all the outside stuff is real. But it's weird because you go to that house and the exterior is real and all the cornfields and stuff are real, but then you go in that house that's out there and there's nothing inside that actual. It's very strange. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It kind of makes your mind go, but it's movie magic, you know.
Well, you definitely surprised me by saying that because I was not expecting to hear that at all.
Well, there you go. See, you learned something today.
Of course, that's why I love movie magic and TV magic. You learn many different things every day.
Yep, sure do.
So season 3 has just started. I believe the current episode is being directed by Tom Cavanaugh. Is that
For the premiere, yes, the premiere is directed by Tom Cavanaugh, who's awesome, by the way. He's just got so much energy and good spirits and everything that he brings to work every day. It's super cool getting to work with him.
what can you say about the third season in regards to future episodes?
Oh man, I can't say a lot without getting in trouble, Bill, but I will tell you it's going to be a crazy one. It's going to be There's a lot of twists and turns, even more than you're probably used to on the superhero side of things, and then even on the the human element, the family elements, and that part of it is. And I think that's what makes our show so great is the balance of kind of superhero show and family show. And I think this season is very special in that we season 1 was very much that, a nice like mix of family drama and superhero show. Season 2, excuse me, focused a lot more on the superhero elements, which is super cool. Season 3 is kind of getting back to that balance, but in the stakes are higher, right? So like the superhero elements are going to be even bigger. The family drama is, I can't even say too much about it without giving it away, but it's going to be awesome. And we're off to a really good start. We're actually in the middle of filming episode 2 right now. So it's the spirits are high, the creativity's there, and I've only read the first 3 scripts. I haven't seen anything beyond that yet, but I have an idea of what's going to happen. Obviously, we talked to Todd and Brent and them about it early on, and it's y'all are in for a ride for sure.
I definitely cannot wait. So were there any thing from the for first 2 seasons that really surprised you the most?
Oh man, I mean, it seems like every time I would get a script for a new episode, there was like oh my gosh moment, reading some of the things that were happening, and the way these our writers are super talented. The way they kind of create these stories and these cliffhangers week after week and everything is
Oh,
it's not easy to do.
cliffhangers.
I know. But you know what? What's great is when I can read a script, and I'm very close to the show, and I kind of know what's going to happen. When I can read a script and have like a jaw dropping moment, that's a testament to how talented our writers are. It's and they do that consistently. So, I mean, in terms of moments that stand out, um, you know, the season one stuff where, first of all, the beginning of us beginning of it, thinking that John Henry Irons is one person, then he's somebody else, and now he's actually John Henry Irons, and the twists and turns with that, and the end of season one when Natalie comes in and
Yeah.
has that line of like "mom" with to
Yep.
Lois Lane, and you're like, huh, what? It's just there's those types of twists and turns that are really great, and then when they get answered, when the payoff happens later in the episode or an episode or two later, and you go, oh, that's what that was all about. I love those moments in any television show, and ours is pretty good at doing that.
And I think the moment that surprised me the most was turning Morgan Edge into Superman's brother.
Right?
I
That
did
was
not
another
see
one
that
of those
coming at all.
moments. I know. And it was such a fun way to do that, to have him be this. He gets introed as like this eccentric billionaire trying to do things for the city, and then we find out he's got powers and ulterior motives, and then he's Superman's brother, and nobody likes him because he's really a bad person. And then suddenly, like, they get close in season two again, and he's got some good qualities. Like, it was a great character arc. And Adam Rayner, who played Morgan Edge, is, man, he's a funny guy. Like, he's a really nice guy, but I don't know if it's his British accent and the dry humor, or the combination of those two, but he would just have us laughing on set in between setups and everything. He's a funny guy.
Well, I definitely enjoyed the character development of season two for that one, and the way it ended is, he went back to the Bizarro World, and we
Mhm.
find out that he's supposed to be with Lana. So who knows?
I know. I'm like, wait, what's going on there? Why y'all taking Lana away from
Well, hopefully
Kyle in
season
this
three will show us
bizarro
something.
world?
I
Yeah,
I gotta see more of a relationship between him and Kal El or Clark. So I gotta see more of that one.
that would be a good thing to see evolve. I'm not gonna say anything about it because it's got to be a
Too
surprise,
soon.
but
Too soon.
yeah.
So last season we got to see the Bizarro World. So
Mhm.
if the Bizarro World existed, what do you think that your doppelganger would be like?
Oh man, I really liked what combination of my castmates and Kat, our wardrobe stylist, and Trish, our makeup girl, and everybody involved in those departments, what they kind of came up with in this like dark, almost emo side of characters in Bizarro World. It was really cool. I think if if we saw, you're talking about Bizarro Kyle or Bizarro Erik, if Bizarro World was a real
Real
thing.
world, real world.
Real world. So if Erik was out there and it was like Bizarro Erik, I feel like he would be this like goth metal like lead singer of a band, and he'd probably have like really like long hair that just covered one eye like this, and he would just talk like this all the time and just be very low and serious. I feel like that would be the Bizarro version of myself, because I'm very I talk a lot. I use my hands a lot. I smile a lot. I feel like the opposite of that would just be this very stoic emo guy. So I think that would be Bizarro Erik.
That would be so cool. I wouldn't even know where to begin for me because well, right here, right now, I know who I am because
Uh huh.
I'm a nerd, obviously. I'm on the autism spectrum, so who knows who I could be in another world.
That's the fun of like these make believe worlds and stuff. It's just you can literally be anything you want, or any version of yourself that you want to be. That's what's cool. It's kind of like Halloween, but full time in Bizarro World.
Yeah, last weekend I totally got to dress up in Maple Leaf World because I pretended to be one of my favorite horror characters at a convention, the
Did you?
Reanimator. So that was something I uh I could completely transform into a completely different person, and that's usually not like me at all.
Well, did you stay in character the whole time, like all
Yeah,
weekend at the convention?
I went on stage for the costume contest, and usually I'm so nervous and have such high anxiety about it, but no, I nailed a 30-second line on the spot.
Oh, that's awesome. I would give you a high five if I could. We'll
Thank
do a
you.
virtual high five.
I've never done that before, and it was all on video, so I even kind of scared myself because I didn't know I could be so evil.
Oh, that's cool though. It's nice to be able to like let loose and be somebody that you're really not, you know?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've been working using the Adobe product to try to make little movies of myself from on my own, and
Oh, that's
it's a
cool.
challenge. It's a challenge to
Yeah.
put myself in movies, but my favorite project that I've done is putting myself in Jaws and Jurassic Park.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, have you posted that on your social
Yeah,
media anywhere?
I can
I'll
DM
go
you a
back and
link if
look.
you wanna
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to follow me back on Twitter, but I can privately send you the link.
Yeah, do that. I want to see that. That'd be cool.
Alrighty. I got a couple more questions. If you got to be a hero or a villain, who would you be and why?
Well, let's see, kind of a complicated answer. In the acting world, in television and film, I like playing villains. I don't know why. I guess it's because it's so different from who I am. And they're just, but I don't like playing like just straight villains who are just complete, bad people. I like villains who have layers to them. Kyle in a weird way started off in season one and people thought he was a bit of a villain. And,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
had like a rough edge to him. But then he has some redeeming qualities and everything, But I think in television and film, I like playing darker characters or heavily flawed characters, etc. But in real life, I definitely am the opposite of that, and I would much rather be a superhero or a good person than being any sort of villain whatsoever. So again, that's part of the fun of being an actor is you can just go be something that you're not.
Exactly. I don't even know who I want to be. When I do things, when I act out, I try to be both the hero and the villain, and I'm surprisingly good at it.
That's awesome. I mean, think about it though. Like as human beings, we have those qualities, all good and bad, and most of us have very little bad qualities, hopefully, and a lot of good qualities. But every now and then, like even if it's that little like the whole like devil and angel on your shoulder thing, and the devil's like, hey, go try this stupid trick on a bicycle or something that as a kid that you probably shouldn't do, or let's go, I don't know, just do silly stuff that you really shouldn't even be doing. It's nice to have those kind of villainous, or kind of bad guy moments, as long as the good guy wins out at the end of the day, and you remain a good person. It's fun to play in that world. But when it's make believe, all bets are off. You can go be as scary and as villainous as you want to be.
I especially love the creative elements of being able to be whoever you want to be, whether it's a good person or a bad person.
Yeah, for
I don't know
sure.
how people do it, but it's a good thing that it's an acting thing.
Yeah.
So who is your favorite DC character and or TV show?
Oh man. I mean, obviously I love Superman. And gotta say Tyler, like you, is one of my favorite Supermen. That doesn't sound right. Favorite guys to play Superman.
Definitely my favorite out of all of them that I watched.
I mean, he's great. There's been some really good ones over the years. Christopher Reeve, and even Henry Cavill's been great in his role, and Tom Welling. Everybody's done a great job, but Tyler is just I don't know. There's something special about him to me. Aside from Superman, I always go back to like Batman. Is just I like kind of the darkness and the kind of the somberness and the quietness of Batman, but he's still like he could just rock your world with his strength and his gadgets and this and that. And like I said in the beginning, he's got the coolest cars, which to me, that's just the best thing in the world. No other superhero has cars like Batman.
Yeah, that's true. But I will say that Batman is my second favorite, only because I prefer lighter characters that you can relate to instead of
Okay.
dark characters. I
Yeah,
don't know why, but there's something about the lighter ones that I like to look at more. And
I get
especially
that.
with
I like
Tyler. I
that.
mean, I'm watching him in a show right now that he's a little dark, and I can't imagine him being a dark character and then going to become Superman. I mean, Teen Wolf is what I'm watching, and he's a little dark.
Oh yeah, he's a complete opposite character from Superman. That's for sure.
He definitely is. I couldn't believe it because I never watched Teen Wolf until now, and that was only because of watching Superman and Lois, and I needed something to
Mhm.
watch, so I went ahead for it. I wasn't expecting to see Tyler act like that.
Yeah, that's the beauty of acting is, we get to play different characters, and sometimes people don't find the stuff we've done in the past until later. And they've, like in your case, you've known Tyler as Superman, and then you go watch him in that role, and you're like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
And then
And
I
that's what's
realized the
cool about.
connection with Ian Bohen from season
Hmm.
2. He's on the show, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
it's a crossover event here.
it is. And see, now you're gonna have to go watch Yellowstone, which Ian is also on, which is a really good show, totally different type of show, but
I gotta
really good
get into
show
that
as
one at some
well.
point.
Yeah, and if you want to see a really dark, kind of twisted version of me, you can go watch one of my old shows called Graceland. That character was nuts.
Grayson,
So yeah, it's a completely different character from Kyle, that's for sure.
I would definitely I'll definitely check it out at some point. I gotta find
Yeah.
tons of stuff to watch now that all of our TV shows are back in
Yep.
season. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today, Eric. This has been so fun.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I mean, I know for when was it last season or whatever, I ended up sending you a photo or something like that,
I never
or
got
somebody.
anything.
You never got that?
No.
Oh, you're supposed to get that then. I need to talk to my team because I think there was somebody had said, send the signed thing to Bill, and I swear I signed something for you and sent it. If you
I
haven't gotten
never
it, we
got
need to look back
anything.
at that. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna talk to my team and figure out what that is, and we'll figure out how to get it to you then.
Okay.
But either way, I'm happy to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And I'll send your reps my updated information, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll post the interview when it's uploaded. I'll tag you in it, and I'll show you all the other videos at a later time.
That sounds good.
All
Thanks,
right.
Belle.
Thanks, Eric.
Enjoy the rest of your
It was a
day.
pleasure.
Yep, same here. Bye.
Have a good weekend.
You too.